Hi, Charlie Crimebuster here, and today we're going to talk about Bill Cosby, the man who was called America's dad, and how Cosby went from hero to zero. Well, hello, and once again, welcome to Charlie Crimebuster's Crime Talk. Today, we're going to review just how America's dad became just another old dirty man. Well, what exactly happened? How did we get there? Or how did we get here, I should say? And what is with this 14-year gap in prosecuting him? All of this and more on today's show. But first, we certainly give in to our listeners' request, and we have had more requests for more crazy crook stories. You see, the crazy crook stories, they remind us of just how it is that the smart people obey the law, while others, well, listen for yourself. Corporal Sarah Corsi, she tells us about a man by the name of Reuben Collins, who got as his title, the Forgetful Thief, because, as they reported, he left personal items during 2 break-ins. She said, we talked, first of all, something about maybe Cinderella and the slipper to match him with, which was a shoe. But nothing really stuck other than that he's just plain forgetful. She goes on to say, we kind of thought at first that maybe he was playing with us, that he was kind of a ha-ha type of thing, but we think it was purely accidental. And once he realized he left one thing, he grabbed it. Now, detectives say that when they arrived at the Fountain Inn Nursing and Rehabilitation construction site, that not only was a refrigerator and television gone, but there was a sweater left behind. Then 2 days later, investigators say they showed up again after Collins returned to take the remote TV that he stole earlier. You see, he forgot to get the remote. And then, when he came back for that forgotten remote, this time, he left behind a pair of sneakers. Well, police said Collins showed up again, and this time he told the construction crew that he promised he was going to return all the stolen items. News 6 in Orlando, they actually found 17 mugshots of Collins from the Lake County Jail, all within the past decade. And Corsi says again, he's well known to law enforcement. Bet he is, don't you? Lesson learned, if you are that forgetful, maybe not a good idea to be in the stealing business. Now to our main topic. America's dad goes from hero to zero. It was another American courtroom drama up in Pennsylvania. The press is present. The crowd is assembled. Now, part of the crowd is chanting, "Justice for survivors! Justice for Andrea!" while another part is answering with yells of, "Free Bill! Free Bill!" You see, the stage is set for another trial of the century. But unfortunately, that trial and others has been turned into just another high-profile trial because of the common occurrence, all too common occurrence these days. Now, to add some spice to the onlookers, while Cosby, America's dad, was approaching the building, a topless woman, gets past the barricade, runs into the path of Cosby at the start of the trial. Now, that is a topless woman. Bill Cosby. Trial. Bet when you watched The Cosby Show, you never thought you'd hear those 3 words in the same sentence. Well, the excitement outside is matched with the tension inside, as a jury consisting of 10 white persons and 7 men find Bill Cosby, who played the lovable and family-loyal Dr. Cliff Huxtable on The Cosby Show, guilty of drugging and molesting Andrea Constant at his home in Philadelphia way back in 2004. But how did we get here? Bill Cosby met Andrea Constant in 2002 up at Temple University in Pennsylvania. She was the director of operations for the Temple University basketball team, and Cosby, well, he's an alumnus and a supporter of the team. According to the testimony from a deposition, in the 2005 lawsuit. Cosby states that he had a romantic interest in Constance. Andrea, she saw him as a mentor who was 35 years older than her. Cosby went on to say in that deposition that he worked on the relationship by inviting her to his house, talking to her about personal situations, including how to have a more aggressive attitude, protecting oneself in business. End quote. Now, back in January of 2004, Constance said that Cosby asked her over to his Elkins Park mansion. He wanted to talk to her about her career. Cosby confirms this in his statement to investigators. But while she was there that night, Cosby states he gave her some Benadryl to help her relax. And that what happened later after that, he says it was consensual. Not so, according to Constance. She said she was told the drug was a herbal medication, and that he sexually molested her that night. Additionally, she says she couldn't even speak or move because of the strength of the drugs that she was given. And as to her relationship with Cosby, she said she was gay and in a relationship with another woman and had no interest whatsoever in a romantic relationship with him. Now, over the next year, Andrea's mother noticed a change in her daughter. According to her mom, Andrea had nightmares, screamed out in her sleep, and people could notice a change in her personality. She often isolated herself. Then, January, 1 year later, Constance told her mother what had happened. She told her mom that she was invited over to Cosby's house and that he drugged her, molested her, without her consent. Now, as you can imagine, an angry mom attempts to reach Cosby and could not. That very night, she and Andrea contacted the police in Ontario, Canada, there where they lived. Now, by the way, Cosby did call them back. And again, according to his deposition, he apologized, asked what he could do. I guess then on an offer of bad actions on good faith, Cosby's assistants offered Andrea money for graduate school. 1 month later, in February, Bruce L. Castor, Jr., he was Montgomery County's district attorney. He decided not to bring criminal charges. That's not to bring criminal charges against Cosby, and he stated there was insufficient credible and admissible evidence. But wait a minute, not over yet. Constance then filed a civil lawsuit against Cosby. And get this, 13 other women came forward, saying Cosby had done the same thing to them. After 4 days of testimony and approximately 1,000 pages of recorded testimony, then the civil lawsuit was settled out of court. It seems that Cosby did not want to see that laundry aired out in public. Now, something else about that testimony that was very notable. In Cosby's deposition, he admitted under oath that he purchased Quaaludes to have sex with women. Now, even though he is quick to say he was not in possession of that banned sedative when the alleged incident with Andrea took place. And in that lawsuit that was sealed, but now because legal directives have since been opened it, it's now revealed that the payment amount in that lawsuit, to settle that lawsuit, $3.5 million. $3.5 million, and we have to wonder why. Why now? Why now there is a trial? After that lawsuit was settled, why was there a trial? And why is it still an issue? And how did we get there to guilty and prison? We'll tell you all about that in just a moment. First, if you or someone you know feel that you've been sexually abused, please call the National Sexual Assault Hotline. That number is 1-800-656-HOPE or 1-800-656-4673. Now, the good people there, they'll be able to get you local resources to help you. That is, if you or someone you know has been sexually assaulted and you need help, call the National Sexual Assault Hotline. 1-800-656-HOPE, 1-800-656-4673. Well, how was it? How was it that America's dad got from hero to zero, especially after that large lawsuit settlement? Well, I believe there were two things plus one. Two things plus one. First, there was a joke that was heard around the world, and then what I call the smoking gun. And then there's a third thing that I'll tell you in moments later. First, the joke heard around the world. Now, you've heard of the shot heard around the world? Well, what about a joke that was heard around the world? The joke heard around the world was what started the war on Bill Cosby in 2014. You see, in 2014, in a comedy routine by comedian Hannibal Buress, the joke was told that was heard around the world. Hannibal made fun of Cosby. Sarcastically, he said, "Pull your pants up, black people. I was on TV in the 80s. Then he said, "Yeah, but you rape women, Bill Cosby, so turn the crazy down a couple of notches." That's all it took. Now, also, he challenged the audience. He said, if you're shocked by this, you go Google Bill Cosby rape when you get home. But guess what, folks? They didn't have to Google it, because then the joke went viral. And then women began to come forward with their stories of their time with Bill Cosby. You thought 13 was a lot back during the lawsuit? Well, friend, it was just getting started. Now, here's a few of those women and their accusations. In November 2014, we're going to say Carla. We're not even going to give the last name to these ladies. We don't want to bring undue publicity to them. But Carla, the wife of the former Incredible Hulk, she said that in 1967 she went on a double date with her friend, Cosby, and his wife, Camille. She said Cosby got her along, grabbed her, kissed her. She pushed him off and ran to find her date, who took her home. Then Sonny Wells. She alleges at March 27, 2015 news conference, she said that Cosby raped her twice when she was an aspiring singer back in the mid-1960s by drugging her drink. She said the first time he attacked her, she was drinking champagne. After the second time, she never saw him again. Joan comes forward November the 16th, 2014. She said Cosby drugged and assaulted her in 1969 when she was pursuing acting at the age of 19. She said he allegedly forced her to perform oral sex on him during one encounter and drugged and raped her in another. Then in December 2014, Judy files a lawsuit against Cosby, alleging that he took her and a friend to the Playboy Mansion in 1974, sexually assaulted her. After her lawsuit is filed, prosecutors question Cosby, but they do not file charges because the statute of limitations had run out. By the way, Judy was only 15 years of age. Friend, that's just three. 3 out of not 5, 3 out of not 6, 3 out of not even a dozen, but out of 60 women who made accusations about this past behavior. Now, most of us think, well, where there's smoke, there's usually fire. Well, first of all, it was a joke. The second thing that happened was what I call the smoking gun. Now, Mr. Cosby may have some good lawyers, but someone let the barn door open when he made this statement at one of his depositions. He said that he purchased Quaaludes to drug women and have sex with them. That's what he said, his words, not from somebody else, his words. He purchased Quaaludes to drug women and have sex with them. Now, the first time they looked at the possibility of charging Cosby criminally, this information wasn't available. But it is now. It is now. And add to this, now there's a new sheriff in town. You see, on November the 3rd, 2015, Montgomery County held an election. And at that election, they elected Kevin R. Still as district attorney. Now, Still had previously criticized the 2005 decision not to prosecute Cosby. And with the statement from the deposition, along with more women coming forward, he's ready to go. So on December the 30th, 2015, Bill Cosby, America's dad, is arrested, charged with aggravated indecent assault. And it was just in time because that 12-year statute of limitations was about to run out. In June 2017, the first trial was held. 6 days later, it fails. It's a mistrial. The jury, hopelessly deadlocked. Now, those 60 women still could not get the judge to let even a dozen testify that Cosby drugged and assaulted them as well. This would have proven what some people call a pattern of prior bad acts. However, the judge allowed only one was able to testify, Kelly Johnson, who alleged Cosby drugged and assaulted her in a hotel in Los Angeles in 1996. Now this, along with Cosby's hired legal guns, his expensive attorneys, well, they were not able to get him off. It wasn't a not guilty plea. However, that jury was hopelessly deadlocked. Fast forward to 2018. Now remember what got us here. The joke heard around the world. Next, what I call the so-called shooting gun, his own admission of drugging women to have sex with him. And now there's one other thing that takes us through the trial. A hashtag. A simple hashtag. Hashtag #MeToo. The Me Too movement. Women now have come forward and charged people who they thought were untouchable with allegations of unwanted sexual assault. The media was bombarded with women leveling charges against so-called famous people, Kevin Spacey, Matt Lauer, and a host of others. Then on April the 9th, 2018, the retrial begins. For the first time, the amount of Mr. Cosby's settlement with Miss Constant is revealed, 3-point-something million. And this time, the judge allows 5 women to testify that Mr. Cosby assaulted them in ways similar to how Miss Constant says she was attacked. In the first trial, only one other woman was permitted to take stand, this time 5 others. Now, Mr. Cosby, he has a new witness. There was a temple employee said Miss Constant once told her she could make money by falsely accusing a prominent person. Whether she was believed or not, you can determine from the results. And on April 26, 2018, a jury found Mr. Cosby guilty on 3 counts. 3 counts of assaulting Miss Constant. Penetration with lack of consent, penetration while unconscious, and penetration after administering an intoxicant. These are felonies, each one punishable by up to 10 years in state prison, though they could serve the sentence, could be served concurrently. Now what is to follow? He's guilty. A jury has already said that. You and I can pretty well surmise that there probably, most certainly, will be an appeal, especially regarding the 5 additional women testifying about acts which Cosby was not prosecuted for. His lawyers will argue that it unduly prejudiced the jury. But get this. One person on the jury said it wasn't the testimony of all those women that convinced him, but rather the smoking gun. The thing that convinced him was where Bill Cosby himself told on himself that he drugged women in order to have sex with them. So, America's dad falls from hero to zero. Now, what can we learn? What are lessons that we can learn from Bill Cosby falling from hero to zero? First, it is never right to coerce anyone, anytime, to have sex. As a boss, as a pastor, priest, or president, you cannot use your position or drugs to force someone for sex. Second, if you are a victim of sexual assault, immediately report it. Now, these cases were difficult to prove because of the lapse of time. Now, as a former special victims investigator myself, I know how children and other people allow fear to keep them quiet. But the quicker you say something, the better. Don't forget, there's a hotline, 1-800-656-HOPE, 1-800-656-4673, a national helpline. Keep that number handy in case you need it or someone else does. Third, and last but not least, assume your own responsibility to keep yourself safe. Listen to that inner voice that tells you something here just doesn't quite seem right. Stay away from dangerous places, dangerous people, and do not allow alcohol, drugs, or anything else get your guard down. Now, this is Charlie Crimebuster. This has been another Charlie Crimebuster special. And until this time, next time, stay safe. For the life you save, it just may be your very own.